So for student loans, we're going to talk about a few things tonight as far as student loans go. We're going to be talking about mostly rehab programs and what to do when the student loan issues come up on the client credit reports. We're seeing a lot of these now. I gave this class, I think a few months back, maybe 5 or 6 months back, to start preparing everybody for what was coming, but it's here now. I'm getting them left and right with my particular credit repair clients. So there's a huge defaults that's happening right now. Now that payments have not only resumed, but the time has elapsed where they're all defaulting again at this point. So today we're going to learn about all the student loan default. We're going to learn how to rehab the student loans, and that's mainly what we're going to do today. I'm also going to teach you, I'm going to show you how I got an FCRA violation last week or a week or so ago on a student loan that you can do too, and things that you can look out for in order to get the violations so that you can get yourself paid and your clients paid as well. Okay, this is actually this last class with Anthony Williams from Smart Credit. He's actually my rep over at Smart Credit. He's awesome. Smart Credit does have a really cool thing inside of, if your clients are on Smart Credit, they have access to Privacy Master, which is super cool. They finds all of the information that's on like data broker websites, and you have all your data removed so it's not sold. It's very cool. It's a cool feature that Smart Credit offers inside of their platform when you have Smart Credit reports. All right, so let's jump in. Why are we focused on the student loan defaults? Because right now you're going to see this over and over and over again. So you need to know what to tell your clients and how to actually solve the issue. Because what you do not want to do is remove these loans, okay? Removing student loans is not going to help your clients, and we're going to be going through that as we go through this entire PowerPoint. I'm going to be giving you a lot of information about what happens when you just remove them, okay? So like this slide says 40 million have federal student loans, okay? Default, you're going to see this over again. When they default, the student loans are behind. Everybody's credit scores have plummeted right now. Okay, if they have student loans and they have not been back into repayment, they are now severely past due and they are defaulting. So it's killing the credits. There are remedies for that. You can fix somebody's credit pretty quickly doing some of these remedies, but you have to know what to offer. By offering rehab advice, that sets you apart from probably 90% of CROs. Most people do not know how to direct their clients. They're just trying to remove these items. So default occurs 270 days after non-payment on federal loans. Now, I think they've doubled that right now. They've been really giving people a chance to get these things handled and not default them. So what I'm seeing now is about 700 days where they're actually going into default. Sometimes 500, sometimes 700, but they gave everybody an opportunity, because what was happening for me was that I was having clients that were coming in, they were just past due, 200-300 days, and still able to tell them, okay, just go put it forbearance or deferment. They were able to call the servicer and get it put back into deferment. And then we were able to get all of the lates removed. Now, I don't know if it was my letter that I sent or the fact that they were just backdating the forbearance. My guess is they were backdating that forbearance for people and actually helping them out. 100% of my clients that I had put back into a forbearance, all of the lates were removed. That's not happening now because the defaults have come into play and they can no longer do that forbearance. So this is what you're going to be seeing. They lose eligibility for new federal student aid. So if they default, they cannot get any new student loans. So they can't go to school. Okay. It's going to result 200 points, 300. I mean, they pull them sub 500 scores. Because they have not paid the student loans. Even if they have perfect credit on the rest of their credit, they're still sub 500 now because of this. Garnishments are back in play. Wage garnishments are happening again this month as of January. They're going to start getting garnished left and right. tax offsets. This year, everyone's going to be very, very surprised because I'll tell you what's going to happen. Tax offsets have started too, which means people are getting letters right now stating that they're taking their taxes. So anybody, if they get a big fat tax return, well, if they have student loans that are in default, they're taking it. They're not getting their refund at all, going to the defaulted student loans, and they're going to be paying those loans whether they want to or not. Okay, so we need to give solutions to our clients. Every single client that you have that has student loans, we are going to give them the right information so they can deal with it and not have to deal with all of these, wage garnishments and tax. This is how a student loan rehab program works. You identify defaulted student on the credit report. For the most part, you're going to see a collection account. Okay, it may not even have the collection account showing yet. I'm finding this a lot right now, just showing a lot of days defaulted, but it hasn't yet posted the collection. They're just still showing currently late, but they're going to start showing like 180 days past due. When that happens, you can probably bet that they're past now where they can do a forbearance and they're in default territory. So when they call, they're going to have to talk to the default resolution group. So you can confirm that, with the national student, they can just log in using their FSA ID and see it. They will have to contact the default resolution group. When they contact their student loans to see if they can put it back into forbearance, they will be directed to the default resolution group at that time. So you need to educate clients on the rehab process, and we're going to get into that on exactly how that works. You can assist your clients in setting up the rehab plan. I did that this morning. That was I was on morning at 7 a.m. With one of my clients called the student loan default resolution group to set up the rehab program. And I'll tell you what happened. We sat there, we waited on hold for a little bit, and they said their call volume was so massive that they were going to end the call. Okay, so they're going to probably have to call back multiple times because everyone is calling now to get into these rehab programs. Okay, so you will monitor during rehab program. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, how long it is. After the rehab program and they get their letter, then you're going to want to make sure that it gets updated appropriately on the credit report. Usually they can get it for about $5. Okay. All right.
Stephanie,
So
we had about
yeah, go ahead.
somebody was asking, do you charge for the rehab?
So we don't. So this is part of credit repair. This is how we do it in our business is we charge for the credit repair, right? And then we direct them on what they need to do when they start credit repair. So they have to pay. So this is how it works. You're going to look and see, are you 120 days past, you're probably default says permanently assigned to government, something like that, or you have them call to get it put back into forbearance and they say, oh, nope, these are already with the default resolution group. They're in default. You have to go that route. So then they're going to call this number and they're going to pay. Usually they can negotiate the payments on this for about $5 a month. Okay, so everybody take this number because you're going to be using it nonstop. This is a number. Now, if you have our software, Credit Butterfly, our software identifies all of this. It identifies if they need to go call and get a forbearance. It identifies whether or not they're in default and they need a rehab program, and it creates action steps for them automatically in the Credit Butterfly software. If you don't have the software, you have to look on the reports and findings. Okay, and see what status that's in. So, and you just need to have a client call and find out. Okay, but take this number down. This is an important number that you're going to use a lot right now. This is the default resolution group number, and that's the number that they're going to need to call to get the rehab agreement. Okay, so they have to ask for a rehab program. Okay, in order to remove the collection information that's going to be put on their credit report once they go into default. If they only do the 3-month consolidation, they're not going to get that benefit of having all of the derogatory collections removed. All right, so you want to make sure they very specifically request a rehab program. Okay, and they have to say the words, a rehabilitation program. That's what it is. Okay. They can negotiate an affordable payment for themselves. Okay. Most people pay like $5 a month, right? It's very easy. They have to make 9 on-time payments over a 10-month period for the default to go through. They have to be on time. Okay, you have to be very with your clients when they're setting up a rehab program. They cannot miss a single payment. They cannot be a day late. This is an auto withdrawal. The money has to be there. They cannot miss. Okay, it's critical because they only get one shot at it. Okay, so they need to initiate the rehab program. They have to request the rehab. They need to negotiate an affordable payment for themselves, and they need to sign the rehab agreement. Okay, and know exactly when they need to make those payments. Extremely important. Okay, again, 9 on-time payments. A single payment knocks them out of rehab. Once this happens, they never get the chance to do a rehab again. This is a one and done. So if somebody's already done a rehab program in the past, they don't have this option. They actually have to do the 3-month consolidation. Okay. So after the 9th payment, 10-month period, anything that was in collections that said like permanently assigned to government, any collection verbiage on the credit report will be removed. If it's not removed, now you have a violation. That's an FCRA violation. If you send in a letter in with the completion paperwork from the rehab, they don't fix that, they don't read that, now an FCRA violation. Okay, but it's up to you to monitor this. So even if somebody's only in my credit repair program for say 4 months or 3 months, or 6 months, whatever it may be, I put them on the calendar for 10 months or 9 months when they're going to finish that rehab program. I put them there because I'm always going to do a follow-up dispute at that point for them. And you can charge them for that. Absolutely charge them for that. Let them know, hey, I'm going to be following up with you. We're going to make sure everything is off your credit report at that point. Tell them to keep their credit monitoring active. So this is even better for you as far as like credit monitoring goes, because now they need to keep that active for you for all those months. So you're going to get a longer lifespan out of your credit monitoring and that, recurring income as well. We're going to look at that after the 9 months, make sure everything's off, send a letter if it's not, and then you're going to get an FCRA violation as well if they don't fix it. Okay. Yeah, here, this one, so the pulling their own student aid.gov records, never ever log into anybody's student loan information using their FSA ID. It is important that you have them do that. That's, again, like a federal do that, so you don't want to do that for them. So if you're not sure if something is federal or private, so say they have a bunch of student loans on there and you're really not positive, they're not sure if it's a private student loan that's in collection or a federal one. Federal student loans are the only student loans that actually go into a rehab program. Private student loans don't qualify. You can't do that for private. They have to do settlements and different types of things for private. Okay, but they also don't trigger, tax offsets and things. So service bundling. So you want to charge more for a student loan process than your regular credit repair. I think you can create a package for that maybe, where maybe, you have one price credit repair and maybe you have a student loan type credit repair where you charge a little more money because it is a little more involved. There's a little more steps attached to that. They have to have more guidance. So you could definitely charge a higher price. Okay, we went over that. Only the borrower can log in. Again, write this piece down on the one-time rehab because you will fall into this. So I have had in the past week, I have had another one that came in with a student loan and he was in default. And I said, so, okay, you need to go ahead and go do the rehab program. He called to do the rehab program and they told him he'd done a rehab program in the past, so he couldn't do it again. Okay. So then when he called back, told me, hey, they said I rehab program at some point and then I didn't finish making the payments. So I don't have that option anymore. What should I do? And I told them, okay, now you can call back and you can do the 3-month consolidation. So there's another way to get out of default, which is the 3-month consolidation plan. But again, all of the derogatory information will not be removed when you go that route. Okay, so sometimes it makes sense to do that. Sometimes maybe somebody's looking to get a mortgage and their credit score is not affected. And this right now, that's probably not going to happen because everybody's credit scores are affected because it's all new. So that's more for older ones, but they have to do the 3-month consolidation if they've already done that rehab. And so I definitely write that down. That's a big one. You're going to come across this every day. This is all coming up for you guys. Uh, Scams. Yeah. A lot of times loan processing things will pop up during these times when all these defaults are hitting. They're really kind of scammy. You don't do that. You can't just fix things. You can't. Another thing that you don't want to do is just remove things because say I go in and I just delete all of the student loans. Because you can do that. I mean, it can happen. Like you get them all, but you're not doing your bar or your client any favors for that because now in a year when they have this great credit score and they go to buy a house, they go to get a nice FHA mortgage, they're going to pull CAIVRS. Okay, it's called CAIVRS. When your lawyer it gets pulled, and on CAIVRS, it's going to show all their defaulted federal debt, which is their student loan. So it's not going away. Student loan never goes away. That's the one thing that you have to know. So just removing things from somebody's credit report will not help them at all. In fact, it's going to hurt them down the line. And all tax offsets are still going to happen. All of the wage garnishments are still going to happen. So you don't want to do that. You want to actually fix it in the way that the system was designed to fix it. Okay. So Ashley Deal was going to come. She has the flu. She said tonight she was going to come on and teach us some of her other ways of removing things, but I'm going to teach you a couple of things. One thing that I know she does, that I've heard her speak before on student loans, that she can get things removed, but this is just for like lates and things like that. Not they're in default. If they have, like they live in hurricanes or tornadoes or things like that, you can use that and they actually can't report you late if those items have occurred, like natural disasters in your area. I'm gonna have her come on and do a thing on that, but that is one way to dispute late payments on student loans, not defaults, but late payments. Another thing that I touched on a little bit ago, 100% of the student loans I've done this with have every late has come off. That's when they're only late. They have not yet gone into default. It's just showing the late payments. And I've been having them go in and request the forbearance back, put them back into forbearance. And then I send a letter letting them know, hey, this is in forbearance. I need to remove the late payments. 100% of the time, all late payments within 30 days are gone. Credit scores are bumping up about 100 points. Worked every single time. I'm not sure if it's a letter. I honestly don't know. I don't think it's a letter. I think they're just backdating them, but I don't know for sure. So that's what I do to get all of the late payments removed. And then they get back into a forbearance or a deferment, or they start their payments and everything is fine again on their student loans. And that's been working really, really well. To grow your credit repair right now through student loan rehabilitation programs, this is a really great thing to be talking about, like on TikTok, on your media, create, right? Go talk about it. Talk about the rehab programs. Most people have no idea these are even available to them. Create a free student loan guide. That's something good. You could give that away for a lead magnet to get leads in your credit repair business. If you run ads, things like that, maybe run an ad to it. The free student loan rehab to how to walk them through fixing their student loans and get credit repair leads that way. Okay. So I wanted to also into one other thing, the borrower defense. So this actually got an FSA violation on. So I had a guy call me from Google actually on the phone, and he was saying, hey, my student loans are reporting, but I have this letter from the borrower defense program. So they were discharged. and should be no balance. And I said, okay, great. Send me the letter over. And so I looked at the letter, and sure enough, it's exactly what he said it was. Said all of his loans were discharged. It's a year old. This was last January that he got this letter. It just said could take a little time for it to go to zero, but it's been more than enough time at this point. So now that he has now student loans that are reporting on all three bureaus, $71,000. That is an FCRA violation. So I sent out a dispute that, with the letter saying here discharged, they need to be at a zero balance. If these come back, if the bureaus ignore that, now I have an FCRA violation that I'm going to send over to my attorney. Okay, so the client's going to get $1,000. I'm going to get paid my $400, and everything will be done. It's one and done. Very easy, very simple. And there will be a lot of these too. So look out for that. If you could even on social media, you could put that on TikTok. Look for the people that have discharged student loans already through the borrower defense, and just go in there and grab the FCRA violations on them. It's a quick one and done letter, and wait for it 35 days, and boom, you probably are going to have a case. All right. Let's go to questions. And you guys feel free, please just unmute yourself, raise your hand, unmute, and just ask questions. Or you can do it in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with.
I got a question. Like, I had the question the whole time you're talking about student loan.
Yeah.
I'm driving. Yes, a lot that I have the student loan. I mean, they got that credit from 700 to almost a 450.
Yep.
You saying not to have the student loan removed?
No, because here's the problem. If you just remove the student loans, it doesn't solve their problem. The student loans are there forever. So that's not solving their problem at all. What you need to do is they're either in default, or
Right.
it's just still past due and they haven't moved it to the default stage yet. So they're in one of those two areas at this point. Okay. So you need to figure out which they're in. They're going to need to find out. Just say, hey, call up your servicer first off, call up your servicer and say, I want to put these back into forbearance. And if they have any available forbearances, they'll pop them right back into that. Then you can send a letter and get rid of all the lates, and everything is good, and it'll go back to normal, and their score will pop up. All the lates will go away. That's what I've been doing. Now,
Sorry.
that was last month. This month appears that everybody's going into default. In the last week, I have had 3 come to me in default. I barely even do credit repair, you guys. Like, everybody's going into default now. So now they're having to do rehab programs. But if you just delete the student loans, they go to get a mortgage later. They're not getting the mortgage. They're still getting their taxes taken, and they're still getting their wages garnished.
So it's not a win, because they could go to the back entrance when you do buy a house. They see everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, it's not a win to do student loans. At this point, no one should be deleting student loans off anybody's credit report. You need to show them the right way to fix them, and then they retain the student loans, because then the student loan, after that rehab program stops, now the student loans are going to go back to the original servicer. They're going to look like they've always been good since the beginning, and they never went into default. Okay, so they retain that length of history too.
A lot of the student loans, though, have been sold, and so they're coming out on both. How do you get that removed?
Say that again, Connie?
I've noticed a lot of student loans have been sold, like transferred, better yet, transferred.
So what they are, so these are federal student loans, like Department of Education, like federal loans, Nelnet, Navi, things like that. So they can transfer them around fine, but they still need to call the servicer that's on the credit report and find out what the status is. Is it in default, or is it just late still?
Card you, little friend.
And then put them in that program. Have them call.
If they're in default, they go to a rehab program. If they're just late, they need to get it put back into forbearance ASAP.
For forbearance, if they're late, if they're what?
They're just still, you need to put it back into forbearance. And I think what we'll do is I'll create a little cheat for you guys to email out with the recording when Kim sends it out in the next couple of days.
That would be great.
Because I think this would help you guys if you just had like a cheat sheet on what to do when, like a one pager Would everybody like that?
I would love it.
Okay.
A lot of clients have them up and then now they're back down. I'm like, I told them ahead. It was announced over a year ago.
I know. I know. We've been telling them and they just ignore it. They just never think this day is coming. All right. So let me go to the chat here and Kamitha asks, are you charging for the rehab? No, I'm not, but you can. That doesn't mean you can't. You can't charge for the program. They're doing it themselves, but you can have a special like program or a credit repair program that's for a student loan, like a student loan special or something that you charge a little more for. Is Emily asked, is the for defaulted student loans only? Yes, only for defaulted student loans. Paris asked, what is the 3-month consolidation? The 3-month consolidation is when they cannot qualify for the rehab program because they've done one and in the past. It's a one and done. You never get a second rehab program ever. So if you've done a rehab program in the past, you're not eligible to do it again, and you will run across that. Okay. So you do have to use the 3-month consolidation in order to rectify the default in that case. Star, does bankruptcies include student? Most cases, no. You're not allowed to include student loans in a bankruptcy. On some cases, case by case basis, you can do private, but not federal. So every once in a while, you can include a federal one, but you have to get a really good bankruptcy attorney to be able to do that. But for the most part, bankruptcies will not wipe out a student loan. Student loans are forever, you guys, forever. They can leave it on your credit report for 50 years. And if you think I'm kidding, I just had a guy a few months back that, no joke, 50-year-old student loan came back up on his credit report in collections. Okay, he had a deal. He did a bankruptcy. They didn't discharge that in the bankruptcy and it came back. He didn't even know what it was. It's been so long. He had no idea it was even his. Star asked, how do we get a letter just in case? I don't know. I'm going to come back to you on that one, Star, because I'm not sure what that was pertaining to. Does this work? Kim wants to work when the client is hit with the 90-day late. So if they're only 90 days past due, which I don't think anybody is only 90 days past due right now on their student loans, you can just have them back into forbearance and they will backdate that forbearance probably. And then the lates will go away. Tamara says, I just did one like this. Probably, I think we're probably all going to be doing a lot of them like this because these are going to be rampant.
I was referring to, hi, I was with the litigation with the student loans, so I was referring to that.
Oh, okay. Tell us about it.
So we received my client because we've been working together for 8 months, and he was in the buying a home, and of course, like everyone could contest here, he got hit with days past due all of a sudden out of the blue. But anyway, as we was researching, we received a letter that his loan was forgiven in 2022.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. So I filed a litigation, did the one dispute, and then I referred it to the attorney, and we just closed out. So
Yep.
he received his $1,000 from that. So that's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. It was my first one.
Yeah, good for you.
But that situation, and wait a minute, if it was forgiven in 2022, why are they hitting you with 180 days late?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It shouldn't be on there at all. There should be no lates. There should be no balances. Like those are all things you're for. Those are on FCRA violations. When we do the FCRA violation workshop, those are the things we're talking about. Those are the things we're doing. We're going to see real live things in that workshop and how to find actual violations like that because they're all over the place. The last 6 clients that I brought in, 5 of them had a violation that I found. That the system picks up certain violations, but some others you have to be able to pick up because the system can't pick it up. So, and that's like this. So amazing. Great job on that.
Thank you.
All right. So Abel, so the student account has to be 120 days late to be able to qualify for the rehab program. No, the student loan has to be in default already. The better situation is if they're 120 days late and they have not yet defaulted the student loan. The default is when you use the rehab program. If it's only late, you still have the option to get them back into or a deferment right away and backdate it and send the letter off and get all those lates removed. That's really the better situation because they're going to have a better outcome. On the default, once it's defaulted, you have no other options. Those options are all gone. You go straight to a rehab program, okay? And that's going to take 9 months. There's nothing fast. You cannot speed it up. You cannot pay the payments all at once. You have to go through the actual process. Brenda says, if the potential only has the late student loans or defaulted student loans, how do we price this service? Set price or monthly? So I think that's really up to you, Brenda. If that's the only thing on there, for me, I would charge like my regular like $295 flat fee to them. It would be a consultation fee, right? It would be my credit evaluation and action plan fee. Then I would give them their action plan. They would do it. I would make sure it's fixed, and that's how I would price it. That's what I do. Does this work when the is hit with the 90-day late payment? Again, I think we covered that already. It's just, you're just going to back into a forbearance. It's a quick phone call. That's all it is. Very easy. Kelly Hunter says, how many are allowed? I can't remember exactly how many are allowed. I think they get like 3 or 4, something like that. They have a set amount of forbearances that they're allowed to do on their student loans. The one good thing about a rehab program is that after the rehab program has been completed, they get all their privileges back for forbearances and deferments again. So they can use a deferment or forbearance at that time. If they're out of forbearances and they're late, they will know that. They will have to do some type of repayment program at that point. Okay, if they're allowed forbearances. And they will tell you. As soon as they call the student loan servicer, they'll let them know if they have forbearances available. The cheat sheet, Paulina, I'll do the cheat sheet the next day or so, and then Kim will email that out along with the recording. Because she always gives you guys the YouTube link in a few days after these classes. So we'll just go ahead and attach it to the email that goes out. So if you're registered for this class today, then you can just go ahead and you'll get it as an attachment. Just look out for it over the next few days. Okay. The 3-month consolidation, there's no cost to the 3-month consolidation. They do have to make payments. So again, it's a negotiated payment over 3 months' time with the student loan servicer, and they have to make 3 payments to do the 3-month consolidation. Kelly, what do you mean by Kelly Hunter? You said they will take your social security. Oh, they'll take your check for federal student loans. Can they take your social security check?
That is that is times where they can garnish your social security check. So I've seen it with Medicare clients.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
That's
whatever
crazy.
you want to make sure that you get these loans taken care of, because that gentleman who had the 50-year-old, I don't know if he was trying to collect social security or whatever, but they will garnish your social check.
Okay,
Not
wow.
not
I've never seen that.
not
But
private, not for the,
just
yeah,
for
but for
federal.
Fed, yep.
Oh, yeah. So I'm telling you guys, don't let these go for your clients. They will be really sorry, especially, all the ones that are all these sweeps and doing all this stuff. Like that is bad, you guys, because your clients can't get mortgages. They can't ever get, they can't have loans again. They're going to get wages garnished, and they're doing it now. They are starting to hit age garnishment. People are getting their tax offset letters already. I've seen them. They're sending them out. They're taking your tax refunds. If you have a student loan in default right now, you're not getting your tax refund. I can tell you that right now. None of your clients are going to be getting their tax refund. They're going to be freaking out. I promise you. You got to educate them on these things. Let them know, hey, if you don't want your tax refund taken every single year until it's 100% paid in full, you got to do the rehab program, or you got to do the 3-month consolidation. You got to start making payments on your student loans again. They have programs to help you if you can't afford, the full amount, but you get it done. You can't just ignore them. Okay. Paulina says, what if this loan account status says transferred on their new credit report, but my client has already paid the full amount? Will that be an FCRA violation? No. Okay. So it's perfectly fine to have a student loan that says transferred. It should always have a 0 balance. Now, if it has a balance and it says transferred and you show another balance over on the new one where it was transferred to, that's an FCRA violation. But as long as it's a 0 balance and it shows transferred, that's perfectly okay. That's not a violation. Okay. All right. Any more questions? I got through all of the chat questions. Does anybody have, is anybody want to just share any student loans that they've been on lately? Any customers that are coming in with lates or defaults that you just want to share what's going on? Is there a way to not their taxes taken before they file last year's return? Nope. If they have defaulted student loans, if you file, the only way to not get it taken is if they do some kind of program. But likelihood is if it's in default and they have to do a rehab program until it's actually out of default, they're going to take the taxes still. So Margarita said, if a 0 balance and said transferred, should it still show negative? It can still have on it from when at the time so it could. So that's definitely possible. Okay, guys, somebody's got to have something in here on the student loans. Can you have a student loan removed? Yeah, you can probably. And we do a lot of times, but after you fix the default. Don't just remove student loans. We did cover that. So if you just remove them, they're still having wage garnishments. They're still having tax offsets. They are still going to come up on CAIVRS if they try to get a home loan. So just removing a student loan will not solve the problem for your clients. And you definitely don't want to just remove student loans. It's not going to help them. Deferred student loan can be removed. Again, when you try to remove student loans that are in good standing or deferred or in forbearance because you don't want it to show up as a payment, a lot of times what you end up doing, because most student loans are somebody's longest credit history, payment history on so when you do remove it, you usually drop their score. So no, I would say you do not remove student loans, period. So my preferred wording, when I send in a letter that this account is in forbearance, should not be reporting any late payments. That's all I say. Pretty much what I say on 100% of them get removed if they've put them back into forbearance. Now, if they don't, that's probably not working. That's not doing anything for anybody. Thanks, Kelly. Good to see you, by the way.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Okay. So I think we're about ready to wrap up. Did we get a letter stating it's in forbearance? Yes, they will, once they put it back in forbearance, the student loan servicer will issue a letter to the borrower that they are back in forbearance. And I would be I haven't seen anybody's letters yet, but I would look on the letter and I would tell your clients, like if they're just behind, to ask them, hey, can you backdate the forbearance to get rid of the late payments? And if you get the forbearance letter and then the dates are backdated on there, because they were doing that for a long time back before, like 10 years ago, it'll dates things in forbearance on the letter. So I would look at those letters. So if you do have a letter and it shows the dates on there that it was in forbearance and it covers dates where you're showing late payments, that's an FCRA violation. Okay, because it can't. So you can match those. Hey, you're welcome, Robin. Paulina asks, if it keeps under payment status late 100 to 180 days and they're transferred with a 0 balance, what's the best way I can help them? I'd have to see that report, Paulina, honestly. If they transferred it, should be reporting from the date it was transferred. So you have to look on there to see when are the late dates up to, who took over when, and if the late payment's from the time that it was transferred back up. Like there's a lot of things you have to look at on that. So you just want to make sure that, I mean, they can definitely have on there, but it might be from a year ago when it got transferred. So you have to look at the dates. Jessica asks, is there a website I can read more about this on student loan default? There absolutely is. I'm going to go on there and get it for you right now. All this information is completely available to you guys on the student loan website. Okay. Everything that I just taught you is right here. I just put it in the chat. Everybody grab that, hit that link and save it. And then read every single thing. You can learn everything you need to know about student loans from these websites. Okay, you can learn everything about consolidation, all of this. All right. I think we are wrapping up. So thank you guys all for attending. I really appreciate you guys attending the classes. I hope that you got value from the class and continue to get value from our classes. If you have any subjects that you want to learn about that we don't teach on right now, let us know. Just hit reply on the email that we send you and let us know if there's something you want to learn about. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Happy New Year, everyone. I will see you all next week.